Hold the phone. This could be gravy. Hallelujah! It's still got some meat on it.
This might be one of the stupidest movies I've ever seen. Welcome back to Let's Watch a DCOM. Today we are watching the Disney Channel original movie, You Lucky Dog, starring Kirk Cameron. I don't know how to be nice to this movie. This might be the longest 88-minute movie in history. And it's just because the plot is so convoluted. I'm just gonna try to summarize the movie before we jump into it, okay? Kirk Cameron, how do I even do this? Kirk Cameron, as a young boy, had a psychic connection with his dog. He went on talk shows, he was studied in scientific studies, he became super famous. We find out about all of this through a 1-minute newspaper clipping montage. There's one newspaper headline that just throws in the random detail that he's an orphaned boy. This doesn't come up in the movie at all, except for maybe his weird attachment issues, but it's irrelevant. Where was I? So as a child, he had a psychic connection to his dog. We jump to like 10 years later when he's conning people by running a dog therapist's office. He's pretending he has a psychic connection with all dogs based on the fame that he gathered from all of the scientific studies. But the dog therapy business is not going well. There's little hints here and there that they're not paying their bills, he can't pay his secretary, and the final straw is when he gets found out sleeping in his office while a dog's eating a hot dog off of his desk, I think. A hamburger or a hot dog, I can't remember. And the guy says, "I know the mayor and I'll get you shut down." And that's exactly what he does. Right before they're about to get shut down, Mr. Windsor, an extremely rich man. Is he related to the king and queen? I don't know. But he has the last name Windsor, so we can only assume so, though I believe he is American. Mr. Windsor shows up to the office with his dog, Lucky. Yes, the titular Lucky from You Lucky Dog. Kirk Cameron's like, "Oh, sure, I'll con some last-minute money out of this rich man." So he brings Lucky into his office, but he can actually start to read Lucky's mind.
What the heck is going on?
He's so taken aback by this, he freaks out a little bit. He's like, just leave, just leave. Oh, but Lucky does say that he's sad because he's suspicious of 3 people in your house. And Mr. Windsor's like, what? Now I know exactly why Lucky's upset. Cut to, the office is being closed a week later, and Mr. Windsor's driver, Will Smith's dad from Fresh Prince, shows up and is like, hey, Mr. Windsor's dead. And he left his $62 million to his dog in a trust fund with you as the trustee. This is the premise of the movie. Kirk Cameron, who can maybe read the dog's mind, is left in charge of $62 million, which actually is owned by the dog, but he moves into the mansion, hijinks ensue. Let's get into it. All of this happens like in the first 5 minutes of the movie. Kirk Cameron's character's name is Jack, but I'm just gonna call him Kirk Cameron because he's Kirk Cameron. I'm sure the driver has a name, but I'm gonna call him Will Smith's dad.
How come you don't want me, man?
Yes, I know the plot of the film's complicated, but try not to get left behind. This script is not fireproof. This character is going to experience some growing pains. Alright, I think we're done with the Kirk Cameron references. Kirk Cameron gets told that he needs to go to the mansion because he's been left something in Mr. Windsor's will. Kirk Cameron shows up to the giant castle. The will is being read out to Mr. Windsor's 2 nephews and 1 niece. Their names are Lyle, Reuben, and Margaret. But you don't need to know that. They're just 3 bumbling idiots. There's some pretty sick burns in here.
And to my sniveling nephew Lyle, who has always been a big numbskull, I leave nothing.
Mr. Windsor leaves in his will, you're a vain idiot, so I leave you my floor-length mirror so you can stare at your stupid self. He's just burning people from beyond the grave. And that's when they find out that all $62 million and the estate and all the servants and stuff are being left to the dog. And they find out about the dog therapist just as Kirk Cameron's limousine is rolling up. And Margaret Windsor decides to just straight up try to murder him. I think she yells out, "I will murder you," which should be a clue that these 3 are up to some nefarious deeds, and Mr. Windsor's death, may not have just been an accident. He may not have died from old age. Kirk Cameron escapes. They drive away in the limousine. Kirk Cameron is there with Lucky And for some reason, he still doesn't realize that he can read Lucky's mind. Every single person in this movie is a real idiot. Except for maybe Will Smith's dad, but still, he just like goes along with the crazy shenanigans. There's no straight man in this movie. This is when we're introduced to Mr. Windsor's lawyer, Allison Taylor, and Kirk Cameron's like, you're the lawyer? A beautiful woman can't be a lawyer, are you kidding me?
You're the attorney?
Yes. You seem surprised.
Well, I am.
It's a really kind of demeaning thing to say, especially to your real life wife, because the lawyer is Kirk Cameron's real life wife. So the three Windsor siblings are super mad, and they decide that they need to go to their own lawyer to see if there's anything that can be done about this will. There's a clause that says if they can prove that Kirk Cameron is mentally incompetent, then they can get all the money back for themselves. The lawyer's name, by the way, is Mr. Pfister.
What the heck is going on?
I'm going to try not to say that too much because I don't want this video to get flagged. There's also just a montage of sort of like three rich people try to live like the rest of us. And it's just really dumb stuff. Like they're trying to screw in a light bulb. He's like, I can't believe the other half lives like this. That's the biggest of their worries, is like trying to screw in a light bulb, maybe at a hotel room. It's unclear. Like 90% of this movie is either Kirk Cameron talking to himself or Kirk Cameron talking to a dog that's staring at him. There's a lot of like dog acting, you know? It'll just be like a close-up of the dog and someone's clearly just waving a treat like this and the dog's like, but it's mostly just Kirk Cameron monologues to a dog. So this is where the movie just takes the bonkers to like another level. I don't even know how to explain this. Honestly, the movie doesn't know how to explain it. When the dog, Lucky, gets excited about anything, it's not just that Kirk Cameron can read its mind, but the dog is possessing Kirk Cameron's body as well as its own. This all starts when the dog gets excited about bones in the yard and begins digging, and then Kirk Cameron's like, I'm excited about bones too, and he starts talking like this, and now he's a dog's voice too. It's just crazy. He is doing the Beggin' Strips voice of a dog.
Who wants a bacon strip?
Me! I get it myself, but I don't have some! Yum, 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 yum. It's bacon!
And this happens just so often. The first time he's digging up bones, he like tries to bite the maids, they pack up and run away, he tears up the house, and Will Smith's dad, the driver, is like sticking with him the whole time. He's like, this is interesting. I got a pretty good thing going here, so I don't really want to mess it up. And if I have to like drive a crazy man and his dog around, it's gonna be okay with me. After this bone episode, the dog has a dog flashback to Mr. Windsor drinking something, taking him outside, and then just dying in the rain with his umbrella. It's sort of like Bruce Wayne's parents getting murdered scene. There's no robber, but it's essentially the same thing. The three Windsor siblings are trying to prove that Kirk Cameron's character is mentally incompetent, which is not hard to do at all because he's being possessed by a dog and just acting crazy all the time. But they are so stupid that they like tape this whole episode and then they're like, oh, we didn't put a tape in the recorder. What are we doing? And the dog realizes that this $62 million is his. It's not Kirk Cameron's. So the dog just starts making Kirk Cameron buy everything and like trick out the mansion to be like a dog mansion. He like buys like 20 sofas. They're getting like carts of bones and dog toys, like whole shipments delivered to them at the house. The dog decides it wants to go to the mall to buy more of this stuff, and it's Kirk Cameron's opportunity to invite the lawyer back because he's attracted to her. So he invites her and he finds out she has a daughter. The daughter sees a pet at the pet store and another dog and wants it, but she can't get it because we found out that her parents too are divorced and the dad took the house in the divorce. It's really sad. This is the 90s, okay? This is like peak divorce rates. So I'm pretty sure every kid in every one of these movies is gonna have divorced parents. While they're walking by the food court, of course, Lucky gets excited again when he smells the food. So he just starts going crazy. Kirk Cameron jumps up on the table. He's like, ah, I'm a dog. I'm a dog again. And he starts like biting hot dogs and stuff like that. Kirk Cameron just being insane. The Windsors have tried everything they can to like catch him being crazy. So they're like, let's just kill them, or at least tranquilize Kirk Cameron and the dog and like drag them out of the house. We're assuming they're going to kill them. So they all break into the house. Just like we saw last week, there's a Scooby-Doo-esque scene where they're like, one of them's passing in front of a door and they turn, but they're gone. And they just do this forever. This scene goes on for so long. They just start tranquilizing each other and like, oh, my arm's asleep. Until finally, Lucky sees the Windsors and he like starts growling and getting aggressive, and then Kirk Cameron starts growling and getting aggressive, and they on all fours chases them out, and he bites the Windsor lady's butt. Not an appropriate thing to do, I guess, unless you're possessed by a dog. And then the police show up and they're like, listen, it was the Windsors. It was the Windsors. And the police are like, how do you know? Did you see him? And Kirk Cameron's like, I smelled them. And the police officer was like, what? And this is where the movie really takes a turn. After like this cartoon crazy hijinks, the Windsors go back to Mr. Pfister, the lawyer, and he's like, I can get the money. We'll go to trial. Hard cut to the last 30 minutes of the movie is just a trial scene. We're just in a courtroom procedural. There's no cartoonish stuff going on here. There's like, objection sustained. This hour-and-a-half long movie, they just recap for the last 30 minutes. They're just calling witness after witness to the stand, and they're just telling us what we just saw. The lawyer still doesn't know about Kirk Cameron's like dog possession thing. Somehow she's avoided all of that. Seems like they're definitely losing the trial. They take a recess. They go into his separate room, and Kirk Cameron's like, listen, I can get possessed by the dog. They call Lucky and Kirk Cameron to the stand, but Lucky can't get excited at this moment, so Kirk Cameron can't do the possession thing. Mr. Pfister stands up, and he's like, you suck. You're the worst. Lucky gets like starts growling, gets real mad, and then Kirk Cameron suddenly snaps into Lucky, and then the lawyer's like, am I speaking to Lucky right now? And he puts on the dumb dog voice. He's like, yeah, it is me, Lucky. And they're like, okay, Kirk Cameron, turn around and then show things to Lucky, and Kirk Cameron will say what it is. And it works. Kirk Cameron, as Lucky, gives a big speech inspiring everyone, and it touches everyone's hearts.
Jack's not crazy. A little boring, maybe, but most two-leggers are. I don't know. Maybe you've got to have a lifespan as short as mine to get this, but you've got to enjoy every minute of your life. It's the simple things that matter. The sweet song of a can opener. Those precious moments when you catch your own tail. Enjoy them while you can.
This is Patrick from the future just editing this video. I can't believe I forgot to say that Lucky has another flashback where he sees Lyle pouring a vial that just clearly says poison on it. He somehow forgot this from his first flashback, but here we are. Until, for the second movie in a row, when the bad guy is caught, he just pulls out a gun and starts pointing it at people. This is how, I guess, all of these movies are gonna end. So he's like waving this gun around, everyone's like, whoa, whoa! He starts backing out of the courtroom with the other Windsor siblings, and then Lucky, out of nowhere, dives, the gun goes off, oh no, but it also flies out of their hands. The Windsors get arrested, but Lucky's just laying on the ground. It seems like he's been shot. But then after like a minute or so, he's like totally fine, and he gets up, and they're like, oh, the bullet just grazed his ear. And Kirk Cameron's like, ow, my ear. Okay, this is my conspiracy. There's a lot of conspiracy theorists out there. I don't want this video to get taken down, but this bullet grazing this dog's ear, it totally reminded me of something else. And I have a conspiracy theory that you lucky dog foreshadowed events of the 2024 election. And that's all I'm going to say.
What the heck is going on?
You lucky dog's the key. If someone takes that and runs with it, please don't. That's a joke. So once Lucky has saved the day, we go back to the mansion. They've won the case. The lawyer and her daughter are there at the mansion, and her daughter's like, Kirk Cameron bought me that puppy I wanted at the store earlier. And she's like, you did what? And he's like, it can stay here. I know she wanted a big family. I hope you want a big family too. Wink. And then they zoom out, and there's just like every dog that was in the pet store they've adopted, because now they have a dog mansion. And there's like a slow motion like hugging a dog, and then we fade to black. I do not recommend this movie to anyone. It's so crazy, and it's also so boring at the same time. Did I fall asleep the first time I watched it and have to watch it a second time? Yes. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the next movie we're covering, Brink.